In this video, we're going to explore the arpeggiator in Pro ArpSeq. This is where chords are turned into patterns. Instead of playing notes all at once, the engine interprets those notes over time based on the steps you define. The arpeggiator can work with up to 7 notes at once. Each lane represents one note from the chord you're playing, starting from the lowest note at the bottom and moving up to the highest note at the top. Now, this is important. A single step isn't limited to just one note. A step can contain multiple notes, depending on how the operator is set and how many notes are in the chord. So rather than thinking of each step as triggering a single note, it's better to think of it as defining how one or more notes from the chord are played at that point in time. Let's make this practical. To assign behavior to a step, simply left-click on it. This opens the operator menu, which is where all the pattern logic comes from. If you want to repeat your last action, hold Control on Windows or Command on Mac and click another step. To clear a step, hold Control or Command, add Shift and click. You can also select multiple steps by clicking and dragging across them. Once selected, you can move them by holding Shift and dragging, or copy them by holding Control or Command. Now let's look at Transpose. Each step can be transposed up or down by up to 2 octaves. This allows you to expand a simple chord into a much wider pattern without changing the notes you're playing. For example, try taking a basic pattern and transpose just 1 or 2 steps up an octave. You'll immediately hear more movement and variation, even though the input chord hasn't changed. Now let's get into the operator menu, which appears when you left-click a step. This is where the real behavior comes from. In the General section, you have options like Random, which selects notes from the chord at random, and Highest, which always selects the highest note. Hold will carry forward all notes from the previous step, keeping them sustained into the current step. Tie works differently. Tie is lane-specific, so it only applies to the individual note in that lane. This means you can selectively carry forward certain notes while allowing others to change. Repeat will repeat the previous note or notes, reinforcing the rhythm without changing pitch. Moving on to the combo section. High-low select the highest and lowest notes in the chord. Exclude high-low removes those outer notes and focuses on what's in between, which gives a more subtle mid-range pattern. Odd will play only the odd-numbered notes in the chord, and even will play only the even-numbered notes. Join creates a pattern that starts with the lowest note, then the highest note, and continues alternating progressively inward until the notes meet in the middle. Join Plus follows the same pattern as Join, but if it follows a join step, it skips the first pair of notes and continues from the next position in the sequence. Spread creates the reverse of Join. It starts from the middle of the chord and alternates outward until it reaches the outermost notes. Spread Plus follows the same pattern as Spread, but if it follows a spread step, it skips the first pair of notes and continues from the next position in the sequence. Stairs Up creates a pattern that starts from the lowest note and moves 2 notes up and 1 note down, continuing this movement upward. Stairs down is the reverse, starting from the highest note and moving downward using the same pattern. Stairs up down begins with the stairs up pattern, then reverses direction and continues using the same notes in a downward pattern. Stairs down up begins with the stairs down pattern, then reverses direction and continues using the same notes in an upward pattern. These are great for creating patterns that feel more composed and less repetitive. Now let's look at the up operators. Up 1 will play the next note moving upwards through the chord, starting from the first note. Up 2 will play the next note moving upwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time. Up 3 will play the next note moving upwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time. Up 1 repeat will move upwards through the chord and continue repeating notes until the highest note is reached. Up 2 repeat will move upwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time and continue repeating until the highest note is reached. Up 3 repeat will move upwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time and continue repeating until the highest note is reached. Up 1 double repeat will move upwards through the chord, repeating each note twice as it progresses. Up 2 double repeat will move upwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time and repeating each note twice. Up 3 double repeat will move upwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time and repeating each note twice. Now let's look at the down operators. Down 1 will play the next note moving downwards through the chord. Down 2 will play the next note moving downwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time. Down 3 will play the next note moving downwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time. Down 1 repeat will move downwards through the chord and continue repeating notes until the end of the sequence is reached. Down 2 repeat will move downwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time and continue repeating until the end of the sequence is reached. Down 3 repeat will move downwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time and continue repeating until the end of the sequence is reached. Down 1 double repeat will move downwards through the chord, repeating each note twice as it progresses. Down 2 double repeat will move downwards through the chord, skipping 1 note each time and repeating each note twice. Down 3 double repeat will move downwards through the chord, skipping 2 notes each time and repeating each note twice. Now let's look at the chord operators. Standard will play all notes of the chord as they were input. Octave down will play all notes of the chord 1 octave lower. 2 octaves down will play all notes of the chord 2 octaves lower. Octave up will play all notes of the chord 1 octave higher. 2 octaves up will play all notes of the chord 2 octaves higher. Now let's look at the note operators. Selecting a note number will output that specific note from the chord. Negative values will output the selected note 1 or 2 octaves lower. Positive values will output the selected note 1 or 2 octaves higher. This is useful if you want to lock certain steps to specific notes, rather than relying on patterns. Fixed note allows you to output a completely fixed note value, regardless of the chord. This is especially useful if you're controlling another plugin that responds to specific MIDI notes, such as articulation switching. If you want to clear a step, you can set it to None. If you want to clear everything, use None All. For editing, you can right-click to open the Bulk Edit menu. From here, you can clear to erase everything in the current step. Delete to delete the current step and shift everything left. Insert left to insert a step to the left. Insert right to insert a step to the right. Duplicate insert duplicates existing steps and moves all steps to the right. Duplicate overwrite duplicates existing steps and overwrites everything in the next step. Finally, you can import MIDI directly into the Arpeggiator by dragging a MIDI file into the step area. That's the Arpeggiator. Once you start experimenting with these operators, you'll realize you're not just creating patterns, you're shaping how a chord evolves over time. And because each step can contain multiple notes, you've got far more control than a traditional arpeggiator.